So in this video, I wanted to go through and explore with you creative essence, one of my favorite topics, one of my favorite components, I guess, of inner authority. What's happening, one of the endpoints, or what we're working on, what inner authority guides us to, is further alignment with our creative essence. And I wanted to just take a minute to talk about unity consciousness and differentiation, and this idea of each of us being a part of the whole and what that means. So to share with you my personal vision and understanding of creative essence, I'd like to invite you to go to the symphony in your mind right now. You can just kind of play and show up at in a theater at this beautiful symphony, and think of the orchestra that's at this beautiful symphony. I'm trying to think if that's what the symphony is, the actual piece. Well, go to the theater where you are going to listen to an orchestra play a symphony. So show up at the theater and you see all of these different instruments, right? And you have the conductor of the piece, and you've got the violinists and the cello and the horns and a pianist. We're talking about a giant, beautiful orchestra. Now I want you to think for a minute, if all of those instruments were out of tune, what you would hear. It would not be a beautiful symphony. It would be a disaster. It would feel awful. And even though everybody has, their different instruments, they're all trying to contribute, all of their instruments are out of tune. And maybe you have people that should be playing the violin that have a horn, or you have somebody singing that should definitely be playing the cello. And how this creates such chaos and distortion and noise, right? It's not a sound, it's not a song, it's noise. This is kind of what I look at, and how I'd like to communicate with you, how I'd like to transmit what happens, and the problem with outer authority paradigms is that we live in this noisy space where we're aware of the fact that we're playing a symphony together, kind of. Maybe a few people think that they're on a solo show, and some people that need to be a part of the symphony are in the audience, and therefore their instruments or their notes are missing. And mostly you just have a bunch of people with the wrong instruments that are playing out of tune. That is what happens when we're in an outer authority paradigm. So when we shift into an inner authority paradigm, we have the great gift and the excitement and this ability to understand that we are all a part of this symphony. Whether or not we like it, whether or not we want it, deep down, I do think we know it and we want it. So let's go with that. You are a part of this symphony, and what you are finding is, what you're aligning to through inner authority is making sure that you have the right instrument and that your instrument is tuned. And the more tuned your instrument and the better you have the right instrument, the more likely we are to play this beautiful, beautiful symphony together that we all feel deep down inside of us we want to be a part of. We are a part of. So when we are coming into our creative essence, when I speak to the inner authority journey, one of the outcomes of aligning more to our inner authority is that we also get to align more to our true creative essence. And when we're more within our true creative essence, we start to find the right instrument and tune our instrument and become masterful and refine that instrument. So if you are a D, if that's the note that you're playing in the symphony, and you're a violin, and then that's what you want to resonate as. right? That's what you want to practice and get better at. So when we are on the journey of finding our creative essence, sometimes we confuse that with the dream or the external manifestation in the current society that we live in, like our career. So we can think that that aligning to our creative essence is like, well, I'll give you the example for me. You know, I had a dream of being an actor, you know, that I had to be an actor in the specific way that it is manifested in today's society. And that was my, you know, that was my true self and my true needs. And what I found along my own journey in my own way is, of course, that was one expression, that was one way that my creative essence was trying to find its channel, you know, its way of contributing to this world. And it was also my trauma ego that had kind of attached and created this whole story and this narrative supporting why I had to express in this particular way to meet a lot of my trauma needs. As I released more of that trauma and that ego self, you know, in that ego identity, I began to connect more and more to what was the essence that was underneath it. And that essence is way more fluid and can manifest in so many different ways in this world. You know, it doesn't require one, it doesn't have one particular path. It has many different expressions. And so what I invite you to consider in your own journey is really bringing some awareness and attention to your own creative essence. What does that mean for you? And, you know, how do you, one of the exercises and the questions that I like to ask people that can help on kind of identifying or feeling more into that creative essence is, if you were to go to another planet, you know, or another realm entirely, so forget the current expression of today's society and what exists. I want you to go somewhere else that simply has humans, okay? It has humans and it has a planet. It has a natural environment of sorts. And ask yourself, what service would bring you joy? Right? What service, what would you be doing naturally, joyfully, without any sort of strings attached, nobody having to pay you? If somebody asked you, how would you show up in this space? If nothing else mattered, all you had to do was just contribute in some way. Contribute in some way, and that contribution that you made had to bring you joy and serve a particular need, meet a particular need in the environment around you. And list all of the different ways and just, you know, feel into for yourself and list the different ways that would express for you. That's the one exercise I guess I'll give for today on exploring your own creative essence and just allowing yourself to be more fluid and more playful with what that looks like, so that we can release these kinds of these attachments to a specific manifestation of what it's supposed to look like. Oh, I have to be a therapist, you know, in this way, or I need to be a teacher at a normal school because I like to teach and I like to work with kids. And so we kind of get programmed in our current society to think that there's one way that this creative essence that a part of us is tapping into, that there's one way that it can manifest. And there are so many different ways that it can manifest. And we also need to clear all of the different trauma programs that are around that are kind of trapping it within that one acceptable societal manifestation that we've attached to, and start to open up and play and explore more of all the different potentials that exist within when we are owning more of our creative essence. And maybe in another video, I'm going to go through we're going to talk more about tuning our instrument, because that's really important But I think actually for today, this is a good place to just kind of to stop on thinking of, are you the right instrument? Are we aligned to the correct instrument? Have we accepted that we are a part of the symphony? Are we excited about our role in the symphony? Are we excited about encouraging other people to be in their essence and in their role at the symphony? And are we committed to being the instrument, the best expression of that instrument, to tuning ourselves to understanding that creative essence so well that we can really be a part of and encourage more of this beautiful sound, this beautiful symphony that's possible when we all are more aligned through inner authority to our creative essence, so that we contribute more to the unity, to the larger project. We don't have to know what the big song is. In fact, sometimes the best pieces are just, they're present, they're exploratory, it emerges. We allow the symphony to emerge as each of us finds more of that creative essence, that true instrument, that resonance and that tuning of that instrument, so that we together can start to allow this more beautiful song, this more beautiful symphony to emerge. Look forward to hearing your thoughts about creative essence, how you find more of yours, maybe where you get trapped or you feel that you can get limited in a dream, especially a societal dream of how that creative essence has to manifest, and free yourself from that, and what that has looked like for you, how you've seen that play out, this journey of finding your creative essence and some of the challenges along the way, how you've experienced that in your life. All right, much love and strength to you all. See you again very soon.